guys, I just thought that you might miss me tying the office into every meeting that we ever have for absolutely no reason. So I put that up there. Plus, it gives you a look into what quarantine life has been like for me. Basically watching The Office every day and sending my friends memes. And I actually got a new Office themed shirt yesterday. So as soon as it comes in, I'll make sure that you guys get to see it because it's pretty wonderful. Last week I came on here and I told you guys about Unplug Friday, which is an initiative that the cast of staff are doing where every Friday we are committed to not posting any new social media content. And I challenged us as the HSM community to participate every Friday, if only to take an hour every single Friday committed to not being behind a screen. Maybe that means you leave your phone in your room. Maybe it just means you turn off social media for just an intentional hour every Friday to unplug. But I also challenged us at HSM every Friday while being unplugged to take advantage of that time to intentionally pray. Just while we're going through all these social restrictions, to take just a few minutes every single Friday to intentionally pray about everything that's going on. And I wanted to speak to that intentional prayer a little bit more today. So in a post that I made earlier this week, I talked about how prayer can be a place that we find comfort when we're grieving. And that's because prayer can be a place that we can come to with absolute honesty, just being really real about how we feel, the good and the bad, the in-between. And God promises that He will meet us, that He will be there with us in that honesty and in that prayer. And I talked in that video about how some people will say to pray through the Psalms. And I wanted to explain that a little bit more because the Psalms, which are a collection of poems and songs in the middle of a Bible, but what they do is, one, they're everywhere. You will hear them quoted throughout other parts of the Bible. You hear them quoted in other literature today by people who are of faith and not of faith, but that's because the Psalms so clearly capture what it is to be human. Like every range of emotional experience that we can have are captured in the Psalms, from anger and seeking revenge, to sadness and thinking it will never end, to greed, to wanting to just curl up and give up, to joy and feasting and celebration, to faith and doubts. Like everything that it means to journey and have a story is captured in the Psalms in this very sweet and honest way. And one of the things that this author that I read says about the Psalms is it's basically the human words to God. It is us expressing ourselves, the good, the bad, the joy, the anger, the sadness, expressing ourselves to God. But it's not like it's this one-way conversation, because the Psalms are also God's words in us. It's God showing us what it means to pray, what it means to pray with honesty and with the safety of knowing that He is big enough for any kind of honest moment that we might have with Him, any kind of honest conversation we might engage Him in. And we know that honesty is important in a normal conversation. Think about your best friend. Think about the person that you feel known by. You're honest with them. They are a person you can show your silliness and your weirdness with. They're a person that you feel really safe and you trust, because honest conversations are needed. They're like the basis of an intimate and meaningful relationship. And so how much more to be honest with God does that build the meaningfulness of that relationship? And God promises that He is big enough for all of those. In fact, this is what Psalm 91 says, because I wanted to read a psalm if we're going to talk about them. And it says, "Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. For this I declare about the Lord, He alone is my refuge. He alone is my place of safety. He is my God and I trust Him." So basically, I draw close to God because I know that He's there for me. I know that He is my refuge. He is the place that will keep me safe when all the rest of the world does not feel safe, when it feels strange and other, and it feels like news changes every single day, when I receive difficult news about school or my family is in this uncertain situation. God is still my refuge, standing steady and safe, and I trust Him, which means that I can show up in a conversation with Him and truly be my most honest self, and know that He will meet me in that and be totally safe and strong through that. So that's what I want to challenge us for this Unplugged Friday particularly, to intentionally take one moment to have a very honest prayer with God about how you really feel about this last week. You might be sharing your joy, you might be sharing your frustration, but maybe you will find, if you're truly honest, that God is big enough for that honesty. That we don't need to be nervous about being good enough or saying all the right words. He just wants to hear our honest words and our honest selves, and He promises that He will meet us there in that moment. So I hope this video finds you guys healthy. Wash your hands and know that you are loved and you are missed.